Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Can you please advise me on what I should practice during the day's activities? Should I observe the flow of my thoughts? Should I be present in the now? Or should I mentally chant my mantra? So I'm going to repeat those three things because we'll take them all individually. She says, should I observe the inflow of thoughts? Should I be present in the now? Or should I mentally chant my mantra? The chanting of the mantra is not something that takes us away from the now. All of those three things actually are part of the same practice of mindfulness and awareness and being present. They only seem like they're different. So for most of us, if we say, okay, be present here in the now. Don't chant your mantra. Just don't watch your breath. Don't do the things that you might do with your meditation if you were trying to not have thoughts, but just be present. What most of us would find is that after a few seconds, our thoughts tend to go to the past or the future. Whether it's 50 years ago or 5 minutes ago or 50 years down the line or 5 minutes down the line. Either way, that's where our mind tends to be. I can't believe this just happened. Oh my God, what's going to happen? That was a really nice evening. What's for dinner? Can't believe I said that. What is he going to say? You know, so we fluctuate on this seesaw back and forth between past and future, past and future. And some of it is distant past. My family, the sanskaras, how those patterns are now impacting me. My future long ahead, what's going to happen to my children, my grandchildren? What about my old age? What about my retirement? But the vast majority of it tends to be recent past, near future. Our thoughts are almost never here in the now. When we watch our thoughts, what tends to happen is something actually very beautiful, which is they tend to start to slow down and even dissipate. The reason that we watch the thoughts is twofold. Number one, it shows us where we are. Our ego tends to paint a really beautiful picture of ourselves to ourselves. Oh, I never have thoughts like that. Oh, I'm always the good one. I'm the nice one. Everybody else is the problem. They're competing with me. They're jealous of me. They're bringing me down. They're the ones who start this. I'm the good one. But if you actually watch your thoughts for any period of time, it's an incredibly humbling experience. Because it makes us realize, oh wait, a lot of those same things that I'm criticizing and judging others for actually arise in my own mind as well. Maybe I don't necessarily act on them the way that others do, but the thoughts come up. So number one, watching our thoughts shows us really who we are, where we are. Shows us a lot about what are our priorities. What's the stuff that we think about? But it also does something else, which is that the mind is very interesting in that by virtue of simply being watched, it changes. In quantum physics now, they've started talking about something called the observer effect. So regular physics, Newtonian physics told us you have particles and you have waves. So we have energy and we have things. That was the truth of science for a long time. Then quantum physics came up and started saying, well, actually it's not so cut and dry. Actually, sometimes particles become waves or act like waves, and sometimes waves become or act like particles. We were there with quantum physics for a while. Okay, so nothing is set. Now quantum physics has gone a step further and has said, actually, there's this thing we're going to call the observer effect, which means whether it's a particle or a wave is determined in large part, not exclusively, but in large part, by who's looking. Now, from the field of science, this is sacrilege. This is treason to so much as suggest that something could change, something as theoretically fixed as a particle or a wave, a thing or energy, could change based simply on who's watching it or whether it's being watched at all. But our sages and saints and rishis have been telling us about this about the mind for thousands of years. Watch it, it will change. You don't have to beat it into submission. Even if you don't do anything else, even if you have no other practice other than watching your mind, it changes. I say this to you from personal experience. When I first started trying to do that, it was incredible because I had not been in India for very long. I didn't have a very in-depth or strong spiritual practice. But I developed a technique, a practice of literally just turning my attention upwards. I pictured my mind literally residing in my brain. I pictured it very, very physically, very tangibly. And here's my brain, and here's all the stuff going on in my brain, and here's the restlessness and the anxiety going on in my brain. And then I took my attention and I literally shifted it up, as though my eyes were rolling up in my own head to watch my own brain. And what I discovered, even without any practice, is watching your thoughts changes them. Suddenly, that which is frenetic slows down. The stuff that's real, the stuff that needs to be looked at and addressed, it stays. But it allows itself to be seen so that you know what it is. But the stuff that's just the nonsense, the monkey mind, that just jumps around absolutely aimlessly with no point, nothing to analyze, nothing to look at, nothing to learn from, but that just literally, oh, this, oh, okay, oh, pink wire, oh, metal glass, oh, camera, oh, chair, oh, couch, oh, people, and that literally just does that. That stops. It's almost like kids who are tearing up the living room and the mother walks in. She doesn't have to say anything or do anything. She just has to open the door to the living room. And where 5 seconds earlier there had been pillow fights and jumping on couches and throwing things, suddenly, in the instant that the door opened and Mom's body filled the door frame, suddenly all of that immediately stopped. Immediately. Just due to now being seen by Mom. And I share this because when we talk about watching the thoughts, it's not the same as watching a TV show or watching a movie or even watching clouds go. When you think about watching like that, if I say to you, watch my finger, right? So what are we going to do? We're all going to watch my finger. I mean, if I say watch my finger, that's what you're going to do. You're going to follow it wherever it goes. When we talk about watching the thoughts, though, it's actually not exactly the right terminology, even though it's what's used frequently. Because we're not suggesting hook your attention into your thought and follow it and just see where it wants to go and then it becomes something. It's not so much of hooking the awareness into the thought itself as watching the mechanism of thinking. So I'm watching the mind rather than the individual thoughts. I'm watching the machine that thinks. So rather than, if you go back to the living room and the mom example, rather than her coming in and fixing attention on watching a pillow go, up in the air and land over here, she's not doing any of that. She's just opened the door and has started to stare into the space in which chaos is existing. Not that particular vase, that glass, this child, and she's not doing one of those. And she may do it a few minutes later, but in that moment, that critical moment that changes the energy of the room, she has just watched the mechanism. She has just looked at the experience of chaos. And so when we think about watching our thoughts, you don't want to get lost in where the thoughts go. Because they do just take you on a sort of stream of consciousness wild ride. And it's a form of deep psychoanalytic psychotherapy that is used by therapists in the psychoanalytic tradition. Stream of consciousness. Okay, you just talk. Whatever comes to your mind, as it comes to your mind, just say it. But it may be a useful tool for a very in-depth psychoanalytic analysis by a trained psychoanalytic analyst. But it's not the stuff that you want to do all day long every day. Stream of consciousness, just watch from here to here to here. It'll make you dizzy and crazy. Do it for an hour on someone's couch who knows what they're doing. They'll tell you a lot about yourself. But the rest of the time, rather than keeping the attention on the thoughts themselves, we watch the mechanism of thinking. We watch the brain. Simply because in watching it, it slows. So that is also a technique of slowing it down. And the reason that we're looking to slow it down is not just the obvious. I mean, obviously being in a state of frenetic energy and the restlessness and the monkiness is annoying and difficult and stressful, and it prevents us from concentrating. But the reason that we want to slow it or still it is much deeper than that. It's not just thou shalt have some peace and quiet. It's in that peace and quiet the truth of who you are shall emerge. The stillness in the thoughts is actually not just more comfortable and nicer and calmer, but it's an essential prerequisite to experience the truth of who you are, because there's no room in the frenetic energy. When the brain is in this constant state of motion, there's no room to experience yourself as just consciousness, as peace, as soul, as spirit. And so if I can quiet that energy into that space, flows the truth, flows grace, flows divinity, flows light. And so that's the motivation behind all of this, is it's not just, may God bless you with a calm mind, but may you find the space in between your thoughts such that into that space grace can flow, or such that in that space you can see the grace which is already there. And then in terms of chanting a mantra brings us into the present. It's not a distraction technique. When we don't understand mantras, it may seem like what the mantra does is can distract you from the present moment. So this moment is frenetic and I'll chant my mantra and it will make me peaceful by distracting me from the chaos. That's not exactly how it works. I mean, that may be a byproduct or a side benefit that, if you're focused on the mantra, you're not quite so focused on the gossip or the chatting or the negativity or the criticism or the, whatever it is that may be going on around that you're not interested in listening to. But really what the mantra does is it anchors us so deeply in the core of ourselves, in the truth, in that divine state, that we are able to be in the now. It brings us back. It's not taking us from here to someplace else. It's taking us right here, just not the here in the nonsense of the stuff that's taking place around me, but the here of who I am in the midst of whatever it is that may be taking place around me. And so the mantra really serves as a life preserver. I mean, for me, on a personal level, I use my mantra as a life preserver to carry me out of times when I feel like I'm drowning in my own mind. I mean, I use it other times as well. I try to do it as much as I can, but I actively reach for it. At times when I feel like I'm not in the now, at times when I feel like I'm drowning in the habit of past, future, the habit of the stress of that which isn't real. And what the mantra does is not take me away from it, but bring me straight back into who I am, literally keeping me afloat to be able to see rather than drowning. And all of that takes place in the self. There's nothing outside that drowns us. It's our reaction to what goes on outside. We may think, oh, these people, oh, this situation, it's killing me. I need to, use my mantra to get away from it. But if we look a little more subtly, what we find is that which I'm drowning in is not so much that which is going on outside, but how I'm responding internally to that which is going on. And it's that I feel like I'm drowning in. And so what my mantra does is it gets me out of that ocean, the ocean in which you're drowning, into actually the surface and being able to stay afloat while staying anchored and grounded. So it's sort of like a life raft with an anchor, if you could imagine that. So it's not a life raft that you sail away on, but a life raft that keeps you afloat with an anchor that keeps you grounded. And so to the questioner, I would say, do all three. Allow the mantra to be going in your mind as much as you can. Allow it to ground you, center you, anchor you, keep you afloat. Watch the mind. If you get good at it, you can watch the mind chanting your mantra. Because if you're chanting still and you haven't gotten carried away by thoughts and you're watching your mind, well, what's your mind doing? It's chanting the mantra. Can you watch it do that? And that will bring you into the now. The now doesn't necessarily always mean just what the score of the football game is, or what the share price of our company may be, or I mean that's not all of the definition of the now. That's the most superficial level, constantly changing. When we talk about the illusion or Maya, that's the now in the world of illusion. What you want to be present with is the real now, which is the now in you. You now. Such that all of the stuff that worried you and made you feel stressed and made you feel attached or made you have these expectations that weren't fulfilled, or whatever it may be in our lives that occupies our mind with the past and the future. By anchoring in the now, it anchors us in the truth, it anchors us in the actual reality. So all three of those go together, actually, hand in hand, very, very beautifully.